Everyone's been told to follow your passion or to take a personality test to figure out what your next move is. But that's why most careers stall. This video is going to give you the career compass, a real strategic framework for choosing your next step with clarity, direction, and long-term leverage. You might think that you need more passion or a better resume, but what you really need is a better question. Where is this job actually taking me? After coaching thousands of professionals, the number one pattern that I've seen is that most people don't choose their career. Their career just happens to them. The patterns are always the same. They chase a gut feeling, a personality quiz, or the follow your passion advice. But those are the exact reasons their career stalled. So if you've been guessing your way through job changes, I'm gonna help you end that for good. Hi, I'm Mizes, and after working in HR leadership roles for almost 20 years, and most recently at Facebook, and reaching millions of people through my career coaching business, I can tell you this. The traditional ways of making career decisions is all broken, but there's a way to get real clarity. And today, I'm gonna show you a high-level overview of the framework that my private clients pay thousands of dollars for. I've worked with people who've switched jobs 5 times. They're always chasing the next fix and feeling stuck. They do this because they never had a real strategy. In fact, I'll just say that most people don't choose their next job. They drift into it. A friend makes a referral, a recruiter slides into their inbox. The salary looks good, they say yes, and for a few months, everything feels fine until it doesn't. What they don't understand is that misalignment isn't something that you see right away. First, it's boredom, then anxiety, then a quiet voice asking, is this really what I want to be doing? So burnout doesn't happen from doing too much, but from doing the wrong thing for too long. The science backs this up. According to Gallup's State of the Global Workplace 2023 report, 77% of workers are doing the bare minimum and quiet quitting their jobs. This isn't because they don't want to work, they're just in roles that don't fit. So for example, take the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram. These tools were never scientifically validated for career planning. They were built for entertainment, not life-altering decisions. And yet, millions use them as a compass, and it's no wonder that they end up lost. What they need, and what you need, is a framework built for long-term leverage. If you or someone that you know has ever taken a career quiz that was totally off, drop it in the comments. Tell us a story about how the results might have misled your next move, because that way we can help people avoid this and making that same mistake. Now, clarity doesn't come from a label. It comes from structure. And structure means evaluating the things that actually matter. These are your skills, your interests, and your values, and where the market is headed. This brings us to what I call the career compass. This compass is a decision-making engine that asks hard questions but gives you better answers. And it's based on 4 drivers: skills, interests, values, and market demand. The intersection of those 4 elements is alignment, and that's where clarity lives. And clarity doesn't come from introspection alone. It comes from structured decision-making. And unlike personality tests, the career compass grounds your decisions in what matters most: who you are, what the world needs, and where your energy naturally flows. So, here's the step-by-step method that you need to follow and find that clarity. Step 1 is to audit your top skills. So list the top 5 to 10 things that you're objectively good at. And I'm not talking about the things that you enjoy, but what people pay you for, what they compliment you on, or what they ask for your help with. Use feedback from past performance reviews or your coworkers. So for example, if your skills are project management, if they're stakeholder communication and team leadership, you're not just organized, you have operational leverage. These are skills that translate across industries. Step 2 is to identify your energizing interests. Now ask, what kind of problems do I like solving? What challenges light me up? What topics make me lose track of time when I talk about them or I read about them? So for example, if you're obsessed with behavior change and psychology, you could explore roles in user experience or product design or coaching, where that influence and insight matter more than hard technical skills. Step 3 is to define your core values. Pick your top 5 values from a list such as freedom, creativity, impact, stability, learning, etc., and rank them. Ask yourself, in my last role, which of these were honored? Which of these were violated? So for example, if autonomy is a top value, but your last job micromanaged every single task, no wonder that you felt miserable, even if the pay was good. Step 4 is to research the market demands. So what are the fastest growing roles in industries that align with your skills and your interests? So you could check LinkedIn trends or labor market data or even hiring reports. Let's say that you're skilled at communication and maybe you're obsessed with AI and you value creativity. Instead of drifting into another generic marketing job, you could target roles in AI product storytelling or prompt engineering for enterprise tools. And the final step is to find the intersection. So lay these answers out side by side. Where do your skills, interests, and values and market demands overlap? And that overlap becomes your compass point. If you're skilled at data analysis, and maybe you're energized by behavioral science and you value flexibility and you see rising demand in digital health, you could target roles in health tech or behavioral product strategy. You now have a trajectory. It will help you say no to the roles that sound exciting but lead nowhere and say yes to roles where you grow the fastest. And speaking of growth, most people don't realize that their next role doesn't affect their next 12 months. It shapes the next 5 to 10 years. So you see, when you choose a job, that single decision sets the tone for your skills, your network, and your earning potential, and your growth path for the next 5 to 10 years. And yet, most people treat it like a throwaway decision. They go where the paycheck is higher, where the commute is shorter, and where the title sounds impressive. They don't ask, where will this job take me? This is when careers stall. One wrong fit job might not ruin your future, but 2 or 3 in a row, that's how you wake up a decade later wondering why you're still at the same level while others seem to leapfrog every 2 years. This is why so many people wake up in their 40s with regret. They weren't lazy, they were busy moving in the wrong direction. Using the career compass protects you from wasted years by helping you choose roles with long-term upside. It forces you to ask the questions that most people skip. Does this job sharpen the right skills? Does it expand your leverage? Does it build relationships that matter? Strategic professionals don't just ask, do I want this job? They ask, what does this job actually lead to? Will it compound my influence, my network, and my leverage? Is the work that I'm gonna do here still gonna matter in 3 years? Or is it gonna become obsolete? The most successful professionals evaluate arcs, not job descriptions. They play long-term games in a short-term world. And that's why they're always in demand, even in down markets. While evaluating the arc of a role, the first step is to look at former employees. Use LinkedIn to look at people who had the role 2 or 3 years ago. Where are they now? Did the role launch them into something bigger, or was it a dead end? Let's say that you're looking at a customer success manager role at a SaaS company, but after checking LinkedIn, you see that 80% of the former CSMs from that team are still in similar roles. Or worse, they left the industry entirely. That's a red flag. The next step is to ask about scope instead of just responsibilities. So you need to answer 2 questions here. How much visibility does this role have with other senior leadership? And are people in this position involved in strategy or just execution? So for example, a mid-level marketing role at a Series B startup might sound less impressive than a director title at a legacy firm. But if the startup gives you cross-functional experience, if they give you budget control, if they give you leadership support, it could launch you into VP territory in 18 months. And finally, think in timelines. Where will this job put you in 5 years? What will you have built, learned, or proven? A role that deepens your ability to lead teams, to ship outcomes, and own results will always beat the one that gives you a nice title but no real growth. This is how you stop wasting years. You start looking at your next move as the beginning of your next chapter. But there's one more reason most people stall out, even if they do think about long-term growth. We're just scratching the surface here, but if you've ever looked around and thought, why does everybody else seem to be moving ahead while I feel stuck? Tap subscribe below because I break down exactly how to fix that in videos like this every single week. See, we're living in an era of perks, of flexible work, of unlimited PTO, of snack walls and mental health days. And don't get me wrong, these things matter, but they're not a substitute for growth. Most professionals chase perks, they chase pay bumps or prestige, and completely ignore whether the role is stretching them. They end up getting paid just enough to stay comfortable, but not enough to grow. It's career sedation. And before you know it, your edge starts dulling. You stop getting nervous before meetings. You stop learning from the people around you, and you're on autopilot. But the market isn't still. So if you're still, you're falling behind. And that's why you must map your path forward to growth, not just your next paycheck. The Career Compass is gonna help you do that by evaluating each role through a compounding lens. It forces you to ask these 3 crucial questions. Will this role sharpen my most valuable strengths? Will it accelerate my reputation in the right networks? And will it open doors to the next level of challenge and ownership? First, I want you to identify your top 2 growth edges. These are the specific skills or responsibilities that if you doubled them in the next year, they would dramatically raise your ceiling. If you're a strong individual contributor but weak on cross-functional leadership, then your growth is in owning larger initiatives and influencing stakeholders outside of your lane. Next, you need to target roles that stretch you on those edges. So don't just look for jobs that you can do. Look for jobs that demand more of where you can still succeed, but only if you grow. You might be a writer, so don't just look for another content role. Instead, look for one that forces you to own strategy, to manage a team, or drive revenue from content. And finally, investigate mentorship and learning velocity. So ask yourself, who will I be learning from in this role? Are they 3 steps ahead of me or just 1? Will I have visibility into how decisions are getting made? I mean, a lower level title on a world-class team often beats a higher title in a stagnant company. A VP with no one to learn from is just a glorified executor. If you're feeling like you've been drifting, just know that you're not lost. The advice you've been given is just incomplete. So follow your passion or take this quiz. That's not strategy, that's gambling. And when you gamble with your career, the cost is your momentum, your income, and your peace of mind. And you deserve better than that. At The Human Reach, we've helped thousands of high performers design careers that they actually want to wake up to. The Career Compass is just the beginning. Inside our private coaching and consulting programs, we walk you through a full career transformation with proven frameworks, with personalized strategy, and the one-on-one support from experts who've sat inside the hiring rooms that you're trying to reach. So if you're serious about unlocking your next big chapter, it starts with a free call. We're gonna map out where you are, where you wanna go, and whether we can help you get there faster than you thought possible. So tap the link on your screen or somewhere here in the description box and book your free consultation, and let's write your next chapter the right way.